Yo guys, Exiled Scissors here, back again with another video. This time we are doing something completely different from I might have made you used to. I think it is very good for me to explain some itemization for you when it comes to playing Gwen. But first of all, I don't think that you should, for example, take financial advice from broke person or fitness advice from a fat personal trainer. So I think that I should validate my opinion by showing you guys my previous season accomplishments. So I peaked at rank 7 Gwen in the world, or the second Gwen in UNE. At that time the first guy in the world was an UNE Gwen player, so if I had to be the first UNE player, that would also mean that I would have to be the first one in the world. Didn't happen, but I think it's still quite something that I can be sort of proud of. So that led me to my absolute solo queue life peak, which is Grandmaster. Season 10 I ended up in Platinum, but the next season I actually ended up in Grandmaster at some point. I finished the season in D1 because I didn't want to play this shitty game anymore at that time, but at least I have this little accomplishment of getting to Grandmaster. So to Gwen, as when it comes to Gwen itemization, I think that Gwen should be played as a bruiser, not a DPS champion. So bruisers like to use their spells a lot, and then they like to be tanky. So the stats that you should be, in my opinion at least, getting for Gwen is AP, HP and CDR. This is what helps you optimize Gwen's kit, at least in my opinion. So now we have this item, and that might be an unpopular opinion because it is a popular item for Gwen. People often buy it because they think it's a good option for the first item or the second item. Not in my book. This is straight up D tier. It does not give you any omnivamp, any survivability. It also doesn't give you HP, it just gives you attack speed and AP and on hits, which might come in handy, but in comparison to the other items that you can buy, it is just plain shit. I do not recommend you guys buying this item. Next up, Void Staff, also D tier, not worth buying this item. You do a lot of true damage anyway, so it does, you pay for something that does not help you very much. 0 HP given, it just gives you some plain AP and magic pen, which you don't need. Revenant's Death Cap. This season, last season, I would place it in B tier, but today we have this different preseason patch, and we have so much tankiness that this item, out of all the items that don't give you HP, is the best, because it amplifies your passive healing, it amplifies your percent true damage, and you just become a melee version of Vayne that can also do AoE damage. So it is very nice this patch, but previous season I would place it in B tier. But it's season 12 almost, so it's time to rise this item to the A tier. Next up we have the Seraph Embrace. Last season it was not a available item at all. I would not even include it in this sort of tier list, but this time I place it in C tier because it gives you some HP and gives you some AP. I don't really care about the mana because I always play Gwen with Presence of Mind that resolves the problems with mana, at least in combat with other champions. But you can try if you like this item. Maybe. I wouldn't buy it still because there are much better items for Gwen. She doesn't spam her spells as much as, for example, Rise, that is really using the power of this item to his advantage, but it's not the case for Gwen. Spirit Visage, I give it the niche tier. You always should buying this, or maybe not always, you only should be buying this if enemies have a fed AP carry, or they have a lot of burst mages, or they have just a lot of HP, a lot of AP damage in their kit. Next up, niche pick, which is Titanic Hydra. I love Titanic Hydra on Gwen. It is not for the AD that it gives. I don't care about that shit. I care about the HP that it gives and also the on-hit effects. Gwen has built in her kit an additional attack speed, so you can use this to your advantage, and also gives you some pushing power, some wave clear, and also you can farm jungle camps better. So I like this item, not for the AD, but for the on-hits and the HP that it gives. Also, another niche pick is Witsend, actually, because it gives you tankiness. It gives you AD, which I don't care about, but it also gives you this on-hit effect and attack speed. If you really like attack speed on Gwen, you can try this one out, but I would still say that you should not buy too much attack speed on Gwen. However, if enemies have a lot of kiting champions that also do AP damage, this is a viable pick in my opinion, at least. Zhonya's straight up S tier. It is just, man, stasis is the best, I think it's the best active effect in the game. It's just so OP. I don't think we need much explanation for that. Gives you tanky stats, armor, CDR, gives you also AP, so it's just great for Gwen. Another S tier item is Ionian Boots of Lucidity. It's just because the more CDR you have on Gwen, the more damage with your Q you can have. Also, you have dash faster and use your W more frequently in fights. It's hardly ever the case when you use your W twice in a fight, but sometimes in close situations it is really good if you can cast your W twice. So that helps a lot. I would say that another niche pick is mfkrs. These are just for situations when enemies have lots of AP and CC and you need that tenacity to use your spells at least and not be CC'd for an hour or something. Another, I think it's A tier. Yeah, I would place it in A tier. This is Plated Steel Caps, helps you against most top lane matchups such as Irelia, Riven, Darius, whatever you think of, Tryndamere, that has AD damage and is based on auto attacks. This is a great pick. This is a great defensive boot option. Although S tier, this is an offensive boot option for Gwen. Lucidity boots. You just have to like recognize the situation, and if you think that you can overpower your enemies, you should go for these. But if enemies have some, if your enemies are threatening you enough, you can go for the defensive boot option, which are mfkrs and Plated Steel Caps. D tier, shit tier, don't buy this boot, it's so bad. Sork shoes, Gwen does not need magic penetration because you already have true damage in your kit, AP percent damage, which is already huge. You don't need this, don't buy it. You have so much better options when it comes to boots. Everfrost, another niche pick. I only would advise you to buy it into hard kiting matchups such as Jace, Kayle, Teemo, whatever, Vayne. If you can land your route, then it will be very helpful to buy this item. Another one, which I also would include in the niche category, I would say it's Divine Sunderer. This item is very controversial when you buy it. Whenever I buy it, people often ping it in the table, like in my items, and they are very concerned that this item is bad for Gwen. It is, in some situations, it is better than a Riftmaker, I would say. Usually you go for a Riftmaker, but I would say that in some situations when you need some AD damage in your team, this is a viable option. Let's say that you have 4 AP champions in your team and then you pick Gwen and all the enemies are buying MR to itemize against your team. Then you can try and opt for Divine Sunderer to give some more AD, and then you also get like Titanic Hydra, you get some AD from Witsend, and you are concentrating on the on-hits effects and the basic attacks, and then it works when enemies are full MR, and then you can itemize. You are cheating your way into doing damage into your enemies. Banshee's Veil, I would say it's a B tier item. or situational item, but if you still think that you should have at least some magic resists, you should buy this one. Also the veil that it gives you, right, the magic shield, it is very helpful if your enemy has lots of mages that are reliant on burst damage. This is D tier proto belt. Don't buy it because you get some HP from it, you get some AP from it, which I like. So actually I might place it in C tier, not D, but then it is making you reliant on your burst damage rather on your sustained damage, which I am not about when it comes to playing Gwen, so just C tier for this one. Another C tier item is Lichbane. Gwen likes to proc her spells a lot, so you would make a good use of this item. However, it does not give you any survivability, so no omnivamp, no HP. That's why it's just in C tier. Also no armor, no magic resist, so that's where I feel like it should belong. Another item, Morellonomicon, which in my opinion should be in B tier. It should be in B tier. It is a fine item, and it gives you those grievous wounds, but you take Ignite on Gwen anyway, every game. I take it every game on Gwen because you don't need flash, you can just play top lane with Ignite and with Teleport. So grievous wounds, okay, if your enemy heals a lot, they have something like Aatrox in the top lane and Irelia in the mid lane and Zinzao in the jungle, they heal a lot, and they have a Soraka or something, it is a great buy. But I would say that you have grievous wounds applied in your summoner spells, which is Ignite, and then you don't necessarily need to buy it every game, although it gives you some nice stats like AP and HP, which come in handy when it comes to playing Gwen, but I don't think it's that optimal. Some niche cases, yes, but not every game. Demonic Embrace, I love this item. The changes that Riot gave it, actually I place it in S tier. You buy HP because Gwen is a bruiser anyway, and then also you get AP from your bonus HP scaling, which is so good, and then on top of that you do sustained percentage damage, and Gwen likes to have lengthy fights when she heals a lot, so this item just synergizes with her kit so good, so well, that I can safely place it in the S tier. Another S tier item, I don't think that I need to explain it too much, but still, Gwen likes lengthy fights, which are amplified by the power of Omnivamp and this mythic passive, or this like item passive from Riftmaker. You do more true damage, you do more based percent true damage. It gives you HP, AP, and CDR, which are all the stats that Gwen cares about. So I highly recommend you buy in this most of the games, but niche cases, a good alternative mythic item for that is Divine Sunderer as well. So the last one, S tier item. This is one of the best items for Gwen, I promise. If you buy this every game as a second item, your win rate, I promise you, it will increase because this item synergizes with Gwen so much. I love this item. You get a free phase rush that you can actually buy from the shop, so yeah, I highly recommend you buying this item. So now we have these two tiers, which are not really tiers, but just the builds that I would suggest you trying out. So first, I can say that the standard build you should try should consist of things like Riftmaker first. The second item should be Cosmic Drive because it's so OP, and meanwhile you buy some CDR boots or defensive boots, depends on the matchup really. I think you can differentiate what boots you should buy. Then I highly recommend buying Zonius, and then when you have all this HP built in your kit, then the passive from Demonic Embrace can really come in handy. So we have 5 items. Another item that I will build is Ravenous Death Cap, just to amplify your healing and base damage at this point, when you are level 16, 15, 16, something like this, and you have all those items, or like 4 items, let's say, you can do solo Baron. Actually, you can do it. So it makes Gwen really, really a powerful champion. So a niche build. So for example, you are trying to compensate for the lack of AD damage in your team. You could try something like starting with Divine Sunderer, then going to, let's say, Plated Steel Caps, because, for example, you're opposing an Irelia or something. Then I would go and buy... It's a hard choice, because in this build, it makes sense to go with nashors, but I don't like this item at all. So I would still say that you should buy Cosmic Drive. So it's a great item. Next up, let's try with some Zonias, then Demonic Embrace, and the finishing item. It's just really, it just really depends on the enemy team comp, but you can go ahead and try buying, for example, Titanic Hydra, so that you have also more HP in your kit. So this has HP, this has HP, this has HP, 3 HP items, 4 HP items, because Demonic Embrace gives you HP anyway, and then you, on top of that, you have a rune called Overgrowth that gives you HP also. So every single of those, except Zonias and Boots, of course, scale with AP with this item. So the more HP you have, the more AP you have, and the more you can stay alive in the fight. So you have optimized the usage of this item, of Demonic Embrace. So I think that's the build that would work in your advantage when you are looking to have some AD damage in your team. So I think that's everything I wanted to say about those tier lists, about those items. Also, use Conqueror, don't use Lethal Tempo too much. I don't believe in that rune, I think it's overrated. And I think that's all. So, see you guys, thanks.